Welcome back to Med Talk. We're your hosts, Gabriel Ferreira
and Katalina Abreu.
The 2024 Paris Olympics will go down as a memorable moment in history. From Snoop Dogg swimming with Michael Phelps to Simone Biles and Noah Lyles overcoming personal challenges and doubts to win gold.
With this year's Olympics wrapping up, we wanted to share what goes on behind the scenes for an athlete's health and wellness to reach the greatest stage of all.
In order for these athletes to compete at such a high level, they need to train a lot.
Yes. Coaches and trainers often note that athletes typically spend 4 to 8 years training before making an Olympic team. To meet their goals, they train at U.S. Olympic Training Center facilities and regularly consult with a team of experts, including a nutritionist, exercise physiologist, sports medicine specialist, and a coach, to refine their diets, training, and recovery strategies.
What better example than the most decorated Olympian of all time, of course, had the most lucrative training protocols of them all, being Michael Phelps. He would practice twice a day, sometimes more if he's training at altitude. Phelps trains for around 5 to 6 hours a day at 6 days a week.
Yeah, Phelps also did functional training with weights at least 3 times a week, weighted and body weight exercises. And according to Bowman, Michael Phelps swam 13 kilometers a day, 6 or 7 days a week, at least 80,000 meters every week, even on Sundays and birthdays.
Yeah, and my coworkers, when it's their birthday, they take the entire week off.
Wow.
They don't even think about it. I mean, again, but it just goes to show the difference between what someone really understands, that they need the dedication and determination in order to do whatever it takes to win and accomplish their dreams. Because, again, even if it means going to the pool and swimming 80,000 meters
on your birthday,
you got to do what you got to do in order for you to reach your goals.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely some different approaches that are a little bit more balanced. For example, Simone Biles, she usually trains for 32 hours a week with 1 day off of the week. She trains in the mornings and in the afternoons about 3 hours each. To enhance her agility and strength, Simone also incorporates cross-training into her routine.
This includes swimming twice a week, covering almost a mile each session, and biking 10 miles once a week. If biking isn't possible, she's substituted with a mile run followed by a broom routine.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely prompts the question, how dedicated are these athletes? And especially when their training isn't just this, it's also outside of the training center.
Yeah.
Your diet really accounts for a lot of the backup behind this training.
Exactly.
It's like for Phelps and Biles, they need a diet to support this kind of intense training.
Nah, they're machines. They need fuel.
So then what kind of fuel does Michael Phelps eat?
Does he eat? I'll tell you. Michael Phelps would eat 8,000 to 10,000 calories every day.
Wow.
For breakfast, he would have 3 sandwiches of fried eggs, cheese, lettuce, tomato, fried onions, and mayonnaise. Not only that, add 1 almond, a bowl of grits, 3 slices of French toast with powdered sugar, then 3 chocolate chip pancakes. For lunch, as if that wasn't enough, Michael would swallow down half a kilogram of pasta, 2 large ham and cheese sandwiches on white bread smothered with mayonnaise, and even a set of energy drinks to wash that all down.
Yeah, I mean, for context, Phelps is eating 4 times as much as the recommended average adult. A woman that's 2,000 calories a day and a man that's 2,500 calories a day.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that they ever get tired of eating this much food?
No, I don't think they do, because, again, if you're swimming 50 miles, you're going to need something. You're going to need something to eat, and, again, having to eat that much I feel like is understandable. But, again, I don't think I'd ever catch myself eating more than 5,000 calories in a day, because that's a lot.
Yeah,
but
that's a lot.
We have to keep in mind that Michael Phelps, with the way he's training, again, this is swimming, which is a very, high calorie, it burns a lot of calories.
Right.
So for him, he was actually burning 1,000 calories an hour when he would train. And keep in mind, he only weighed 190 to 200 pounds during competition at the height of 6'4", which is absurd.
Yeah, I mean, unlike Phelps, Simone likes to balance her nutrition and not eat everything in sight.
Yeah.
So she would have for breakfast oatmeal with fresh fruit if she was in a hurry, or protein waffles with chocolate chips. Emphasis on the or. And lunch would be protein and healthy carbs. And dinner would be based on her cravings. She says that her biggest cheat meal is pepperoni pizza. And then for snacks, she likes fruits and protein shakes.
Again, that is what makes up a person. So your diet, your training, that is what's going to eventually lead up to what your overall health actually is, which, again, is the most important thing for an athlete to be able to perform at such a high level and in hopes of placing.
Right. And it definitely makes you think about how this impacts their health. Is it really beneficial to their longevity to be eating so much, training so much, and under all this kind of stress?
So
Exactly.
with longevity, U.S. Olympians lived 5.1 years longer than their peers in the general population. This was mainly associated with a lower rate of premature cardiovascular deaths, contributing to 2 years of life extension, followed by a lower risk of cancer, which contributed to 1.5 years from both sexes. The decreased death rates from external causes, respiratory, digestive, endocrine, and metabolic diseases also contributed to Olympian longer lifespan.
In another study, a total of 15,174 Olympic athletes were tracked between 1896 and 2010. On average, they lived 2.8 years longer than the general population of the same age, gender, and nationality.
And surprisingly, the athletes who actually took part in sports of high cardiovascular intensity, such as track or swimming, had almost identical longevity rates as those who did low cardiovascular sports like golf. The only substantial difference they found was among disciplines which involved a lot of body collisions, such as boxing, ice hockey, and rugby. The athletes that participated in these sports had an 11% increased risk of mortality compared to the others. Again, for sports like these, just in general, it's a matter of commitment, and that is different for just any person. Like, honestly, like, again, how we're talking about golf and track, they can be different commitments, but it depends on how far you're willing to go for that. An Olympian will, without a doubt, be healthier since their entire career revolves around competing and maintaining health, such as the average 9 to 5 Joe. He's not going to be hitting the pool like 6 times a week, such as Michael Phelps.
Right.
But again, the effort of an Olympian requires dedication and determination, which ultimately determines how far you will really be able to go. So with that, again, we've talked a lot about physical health and how that may associate with how long they can live. But what about the effects of stress, so including physical and mental health, and like what it can do to your body over time?
Yeah, so physical health of an athlete can be impacted by cardiovascular stress, or just any stress, in fact, and it can overproduce hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, which are associated with stress, and ultimately that leads to inflammation of different body parts, including those that the athletes need for their competition. And over time, these cumulative effects can create stress that reduces the overall quality of life.
Exactly. So it's just a lot of pressure that an athlete may face, again, which ultimately may affect how their mental health actually is, which is another big contributing factor with how well an athlete is able to perform. So a 2019 study actually found that about 35% of elite athletes have mental health issues. They have felt burnout, depression, and anxiety. Another being athletes operating under intense pressure, facing unrealistic expectations from coaches, fans, teammates, and even themselves, with this pretty much being a matter of perfectionism and how far they really are willing to go.
Yeah, and the perfect example of perfectionism causing too much stress would be Simone Biles in the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. She famously pulled out of her team's finals relating to this, saying, "I have to do what's right for me and focus on my mental health." She's not the only one that has gone through this. Michael Phelps has also been open about his struggles with anxiety, depression, and ADHD.
Again, this issue of athletes' mental health is not new. Studies do show that anywhere between 30 to 60% of athletes in general face mental health challenges, but in one report they actually found that only 10% of athletes with mental health issues sought out the help they actually needed, which is a concern because, again, that's going to limit how well athletes are going to be able to put like the time and effort into whatever they can do and just achieve their goals. Okay, fortunately, athletes have found ways to cope with their mental health, such as Simone Biles. Again, she famously pulled out of the Tokyo Olympics, but eventually came back for the Paris Olympics and became the most decorated gymnast in history of America, which, again, that's a feat that not a lot of people can say.
Yeah, and there are definitely a lot of different ways that people are coping. One example that would be a little controversial would be Sha'Carri Richardson. She was involved in a cannabis scandal. Eventually, she got stripped of her title in 2021.
It wasn't title. She got stripped from the 2021 Olympic team.
Okay.
Yeah, bro, you got the thing is that you're trying to read it, but then you're also trying to like not read it at the same time. But it's just messing you up is the thing. It's like you're just messing up. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'll just read this part.
Okay.
Just read all the way through. Yeah.
All right. Fortunately, there are athletes that are able to cope with their mental health, such as Simone Biles. Again, she famously pulled out, as you said, of the Tokyo Olympics, but came back 4 years later in Paris Olympics to eventually be crowned the most decorated gymnast of all time in America, which is a feat that not a lot of people are actually able to say.
Yeah, and there's definitely a lot of controversy around some ways that people are finding to cope. One example would be Sha'Carri Richardson. Richardson's spot on the 2021 Olympic team was stripped from her. After winning the 100 meters at the trials, she tested positive for THC, the primary compound found in cannabis, in a post-trace drug test. Richardson said that she'd used marijuana to help her cope with the news that her biological mother had died. News emerged days before the trials. Was this a fair reaction? How did she feel?
I mean, obviously she felt horrible.
Right.
She just lost her spot in the Olympics, which is probably like what meant the world to her.
Yes, and her biological mom died.
Exactly, which is that just makes it all the worse.
Yes.
But again, was it a fair reaction? Unfortunately, yes and no. Yes, because that is what the Olympics have. They say you shouldn't be caught doping, and if you're found with it after you've been tested, then you're going to face consequences. Even though Sha'Carri Richardson was facing personal issues such as this, and unfortunately, she chose one of the more negative alternatives to being able to cope with this. But again, it's that at the end of the day, that comes down to personal use. And if you're able to sustain your health, to make sure you're able to keep pushing yourself forward. But on the other side, you also have the people who are willing to do more than just that. They're willing to actually enhance their performance. An example that I can give is on July 30th, the New York Times reported that 2 Chinese swimmers, including one set to compete in Paris, tested positive for anabolic steroids in 2022, but actually faced no sanctions after Chinese authorities cleared them. This follows a recent Times investigation revealing that 23 Chinese swimmers from the Tokyo 2021 Olympics tested positive for TMZ at a training camp, but were not penalized due to claims of food contamination. The World Anti-Doping Agency, also known as WADA, supported this view, allowing the athletes to compete in Tokyo. In response to this, the White House and USADA have demanded WADA provide more details on its decision. Critics argue that WADA's leniency undermines efforts to ensure fair competition, suggesting that stricter sanctions and immediate suspensions could better deter doping. Consequently, several of the 23 swimmers are set to race in Paris.
That's insane. I mean, do you think that recreational use should be banned in Olympics?
I mean, if it includes steroids, then yes. But again, if that also includes drug use, such as Sha'Carri, who also did marijuana, then it definitely should be. But I don't think the Olympics should be as close-minded as they are with drug use, such as marijuana, which again, that can be prescribed by a medical doctor.
It can be.
Exactly. Even though it is addictive, it can be addictive.
It is.
It's most important that there is moderation with that use of cannabis. Again, if it's helping her cope and being able to make her succeed with what she's doing, then I think the Olympics should be all for it. But if it's just negatively impacting her and isn't actually improving anything, or such as the Chinese swimmers are using steroids, then maybe it's just better for the all better if it's just all taken out.
And it makes you think, if Olympians are doing this to benefit their own performance, what is the host nation doing to help these athletes?
Exactly. So speaking of Olympic treatment and how the host nations are handling this, athletes have actually complained that high-protein foods like eggs and grilled meat are in short supply and have been rationed, leading top swimmer Ariarne Titmus to say that improper nutrition hurt her performance. I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name. Some athletes have turned to packing their own lunches per fortune. Team Great Britain actually ended up flying out their own cook after shortages led to the rationing of high-protein items in service of uncooked meat in the Olympic Village canteen. Gordon Ramsay about to pull through.
Yeah, they're going to fly out Gordon Ramsay.
Yep. But unfortunately, he's not going to fix the other issues going on, right?
Yes, there are a lot of other issues that athletes have been complaining about, some being the fragile cardboard beds, transportation, and AC. It instead relies on a water cooling system that much of Europe already has. Temperatures in Paris have already surpassed 90 degrees Fahrenheit during the Games, driving athletes from some countries, including Canada, Italy, and Denmark, to use portable AC units.
National delegations had ordered 2,700 air conditioning units, the organizers said. But there are more than 7,000 rooms in the Olympic Village itself. Others have actually moved into hotels, including 6 swimmers from South Korea who wanted to live closer to the Games, according to Newsweek.
The Paris Games say that this is because they are aiming to reduce its total carbon emissions to half the level of previous Olympics. Pressed on the issue last year, the Paris mayor, Anne Hidalgo, told reporters, "I have a lot of respect for the comfort of athletes, but I think a lot more about the survival of humanity. I want the Paris Games to be exemplary from an environmental point of view."
Okay, with that being said, where do you think the line should be drawn between a sustainable future for all of humanity, but also accommodating for those in need.
Yeah, I think that maybe when it starts to hurt the athletes' performances, things should be taken into consideration. There's been, complaints about the food.
Yeah.
Well, an athlete needs food in order to maintain their body. The AC units, obviously, that's got to be disturbing their sleep.
Even where they sleep, if you think about it as well, where they sleep as well is also an issue. I mean, we've actually been to Italy ourselves, right? We've been fortunate enough to do that, and so I went during the winter, and the problem with AC wasn't even that big of an issue. But for you?
Yeah, so I went in July, which just happened to be like the hottest month of the year.
Yeah.
It was a little uncomfortable.
Could you even sleep at night when that happened?
Yeah, but I was exhausted.
You were exhausted?
I mean, okay, during the day, the temperatures were reaching like 115 degrees. So
no way.
Yeah, so we would actually go home during that time, sleep, and then go back out.
But you guys felt tired, exhausted, right?
Yes,
from that?
It was exhausting.
It hindered how long you could go out for the day.
Yes.
Right. Well, there actually is an Italian swimmer known as Thomas Kekin who actually made aware of this. He made his feelings known in an interview with an Italian broadcaster after he failed to qualify for the 200-meter backstroke finals, which came as a surprise since he had actually won the gold medal in the 100-meter backstroke. As he quoted himself, saying, "I'm disappointed that I didn't make the final, but I was too tired. It's hard to sleep both at night and in the afternoon. Usually when I'm at home, I would sleep in the afternoon. Here, I really struggle between the heat and the noise," he said in the interview. He did make it clear, however, that all athletes are facing the same living conditions and that many find themselves struggling to sleep well. Again, he was even caught outside sleeping in the park because of how terrible the Olympic
unbearable
accommodations were. Exactly. Unfortunately, that's what he has to go through. Meanwhile, you have the U.S. NBA Basketball Association doing something about it, with LeBron James living it up, of course. But since 1992, when the NBA allowed for its players to compete, they have stayed outside of the village. According to Justin Birnbaugh from Forbes, USA Basketball rented out the entire hotel with about 800 rooms in the city center.
Yeah, Forbes also notes that Team USA has a large traveling party, including players' families, support staff members, executives, and NBA personnel. It's estimated that the USA Basketball had to spend $15 million to send men and women's basketball teams to the Paris Olympics.
And just for comparison, sending 20 U.S. fencers to the Paris Olympics cost between $300,000 and $400,000. USA Basketball also had to cover security, charter flights, players' transportations to practice and games, and the shipment of team equipment to Paris, with this being luxury compared to sleeping in the park.
Yes, there's a major emphasis on luxury that some countries simply just can't afford it. Mm-hmm. It makes you think about these athletes. Some athletes have to have a higher level of dedication to one's career to live in these kinds of conditions. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
Well, what do I think about that? I mean, again, I think at the end of the day, it comes down to the organizations themselves, such as, look at the NBA. They're such a profitable organization that they're more than willing to support these athletes in achieving greatness and accomplishments because that brings more awareness to them. Mm-hmm. But fortunately, other sports such as fencing, they don't have that same type of luxury or accommodations to be able to that. And in the long run, that affects how well you perform in the actual games. Mm-hmm. Again, just look at the Italian swimmer that we were just talking about. He couldn't even sleep at night, and he had failed to qualify for another event that he, with a previous event that he had actually won gold in. With again, that just goes to show you that this is a concern, and that the Olympics should have taken more precaution and should have been made more aware of how the athletes are currently being handled.
Yes, and the dedication that they're having, it doesn't really equate to any monetary compensation.
Exactly.
They still have a lot of struggle with their pay and all of that.
And with their pay, again, that ultimately honestly comes down to their performance and how well they're able to succeed with coming from their health, but ultimately how long they can even keep going for this.
Yes. Medalists receive a medal, stuffed Olympic mascot toy, and a box with the official event poster. But some may earn additional financial awards, not from the IOC, but from their home countries, which I think the highest would be Hong Kong with $768,000 for gold.
That's US dollars, right?
Yes.
Wow.
And then Australia being the lowest for $13,000 for gold. So
yeah, that's a difference.
Definitely there are some athletes who are not receiving the kind of money that they need, but they can earn money through endorsements, stipends, and even
Medal bonuses?
Yeah, even the medal bonuses, yeah.
Which, again, the exact value of Olympic sponsorships are usually undisclosed, but top athletes can actually earn millions. In 2013, Reuters reported that now retired Jamaican sprinter Usain Bolt signed a roughly $10 million a year deal with Puma during the years he continued to compete. Again, everyone knew who Usain Bolt was, and if you didn't, you lived under a rock.
Yeah. And another athlete, Katie Ledecky, won 2 gold medals in Tokyo, signed a $7 million contract with the swimwear brand TYR in 2018 after earning a whopping 4 gold medals in Rio.
Whopping is crazy.
Yeah.
Another athlete that we can actually talk about is Shaun White, who is actually part of the Winter Olympics. He received his first board sponsorship at age 7, following his first gold medal in Turin. Snowboard manufacturing company Burton signed him onto a 10-year contract. While the specific details weren't disclosed, White was estimated to pocket around $10 million a year in sponsorships. But with that in mind, in what other ways other than salary, if any, do you think these sponsorships will help the most with?
Yeah, so I think that they supply them with the things that they're endorsed and other equipment. Katie Ledecky gets the aerodynamic swimmer that she needs from TYR, and Shaun White gets his snowboards. It also gives them a bigger platform to make deals with other brands and network, essentially.
Unfortunately, these are the athletes who are the most successful in what they do. The people who place are the ones getting recognition and sponsors. But unfortunately, not all athletes can be able to say that. With more than half the athletes end up having to pay for themselves and leave not making a single cent. And if anything, they just end up losing money just because they go to the Olympics themselves.
Yes.
I can say this, that some Olympians make millions of dollars, of course, but a recent global study of 500 elite athletes found that nearly 60% did not consider themselves financially stable. Some say they started driving for DoorDash, worked at Panera, and even at a bank. With that in mind, the financial strain is huge.
Yeah, I mean, going to the Olympics is super expensive.
Yeah.
U.S. athletes may spend up to $100,000 preparing for these games. It's quoted, "It's astronomical." Skeleton bobsled racer Kyle Truss, who competed in the 2014 Sochi Winter Olympics, told Mental Floss. A competition sled alone costs well over $10,000, and you have to buy new runners at $1,000 each. Then there's travel. Some of these places, like a ski resort in France, aren't easy to get to.
And that's the thing. A lot of these athletes are going to have to pay this out of their pocket if they're not able to get sponsorships, such as Shaun White, who was able to get everything pretty much paid for probably for him.
Yeah.
Again, another example is Ryan Krauser, who is a shot put athlete. He actually told CNBC he cooks his meals like he would for a family of 4, giving 1 serving to his girlfriend, so she gets the leftovers pretty much, and he eats the other 3 portions. His weekly Sam's Club's trip sets him back about $200 to $250. That's about $1,000 on groceries a month, over twice the average of an American household's cost of $475.25. Other Olympians aren't as financially supported as Krauser, unfortunately. Dylan Beard, an American hurdler, works 40-hour weeks behind the deli counter at Walmart while training for the Olympics trials for the 60-meter hurdles. Beard, with a master's in public health as a backup, is saving his Walmart paychecks to cover his travel, though the IOC does cover expenses for many athletes. At the end of the day, he did say that my name is attached to what I'm doing, he said. So yes, I'm working at Walmart in the deli, but it still represents me, which represents a lot of people, or a lot of other people, which, again, clearly there is a dedication in every single athlete. I think the most inspiring story in this year's Olympics has got to be Suni Lee. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think she has definitely had the most incredible journey this year, overcoming her health obstacles.
Okay. But I think the way that the deli worker, I'm sorry I have to go like that, but Dylan Beard, I think he honestly summarized it the best way, especially since that is what represents a lot of other people, is that there aren't that many people who are like Usain Bolt, Simone Biles, Noah Lyles, who have such opportunities. Of course, they accomplish so much, but
they're not the majority.
Again, they're not the majority. Other people are willing to have to sacrifice so much time. I mean, people are willing to go as far as working at Walmart, but they have to do what they have to do.
Let's talk a little bit more about Suni Lee, because her journey had a lot of ups and downs, especially in health. I'm going to restart because I went like this and it looks awkward. Okay. Let's talk a little bit more about...
Bro, I'm just drinking water, bro.
I know, I'm sorry. Okay.
Go.
Okay. Drink your water first. Okay. Let's talk more about... You're just drinking it to annoy me now.
No, I'm drinking it because that's what I did last time.
Oh, okay.
Go.
Okay. Let's talk more about... Sorry.
Bro, you're actually dumb. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to call you dumb. It's not to call her dumb, but like it's just goofy. I don't know why people think I'm a freak, bro. Okay, go.
game. Okay. Okay. So let's talk more about Suni Lee because her journey has a lot of ups and downs, which are all related to health, and we are a health podcast. So
Exactly.
formerly the Olympics all-around champion Suni Lee has made a remarkable comeback at the 2024 Paris Games despite battling serious health issues, including an incurable kidney disease, eczema, gaining 40 pounds in weight, and her mental health on top of all of that.
Jeez.
She still managed to secure 3 medals, 2 bronze medals in uneven bars and artistic individual all-around, and 1 gold artistic team all-around.
Lee announced her intentions to compete in the 2024 Games less than a year after Tokyo, but her journey actually became complicated with her 2023 diagnosis after pausing to focus on her health. Lee returned to training, determined to qualify for Team USA.
Yeah, it's definitely scary to have kidney disease when your job is your body.
Again, especially for this to occur in such an unexpected way, this is definitely something that should draw a lot of concern to. Lee credited her support system and medical team, including Dr. Marcia Foston, the co-head team physician for USA Gymnastics, for her recovery. Lee has not specified her exact diagnosis, but her symptoms such as swelling, cramping, and headaches align with chronic kidney disease, also known as CKD. According to the Cleveland Clinic, CKD is a progressive condition where kidney function declines over time, potentially leading to kidney failure. Management involves medications and, in advanced stages, dialysis or even transplant.
Kidney disease as an athlete is really hard to have because they require a lot of protein to fuel their bodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the kidneys are key in filtering this kind of nutrient. And when someone has kidney disease, they're actually typically put on low protein diets to help ease their symptoms
Really?
and progression. Yeah. And this isn't the only thing. Lee also dealt with eczema since childhood, describing it as red, itchy, and always uncomfortable. This affected her confidence. Specifically when competing, Lee has worked with dermatologists to manage her condition, acknowledging that stress worsens her eczema.
Lee also has been candid about her mental health challenges. She has experienced imposter syndrome and anxiety attacks, but has learned to cope with therapy, journaling, and positive sex. No.
The verb
No way. No way, bro.
Giggles and burps.
Bro, it wasn't even like, it just happened,
It
bro.
wasn't even like a silent burp. It was like
No,
rumbling in your
no,
throat.
bro. Like, I wasn't even trying to burp. It just came out. Oh my gosh, bro.
It's okay.
I think the first time was better anyways than the second time.
Yeah. Are we gonna redo this?
Yeah. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
I think that we should talk more about Suni Lee because her journey was particularly interesting with all the ups and downs in health, and we are a health podcast after all.
Exactly.
So to go into it, formerly the Olympics all-around champion Suni Lee has made a remarkable comeback at the 2024 Paris Games despite battling serious health issues, including an incurable kidney disease, eczema, gaining 40 pounds in weight, and her mental health on top of all of that.
Wow.
But she still managed to secure 3 medals, 2 bronze medals in uneven bars and artistic individual all-around, and 1 gold artistic team all-around.
Lee announced her intention to compete in the 2024 Games less than a year after Tokyo, but her journey actually became complicated with her 2023 diagnosis. After pausing to focus on her health, Lee returned to training, determined to qualify for Team USA.
Yeah, it's scary to have a kidney disease when your job is your body.
Exactly, especially for this to occur in such an unexpected way. I'm sure it definitely just put a lot of pressure on her.
Right.
Lee actually did credit her support system and medical team, including Dr. Marcia Foston, the co-head team physician for USA Gymnastics, for her recovery. She has not specified her exact diagnosis, but her symptoms such as swelling, cramping, and even headaches align with chronic kidney disease, also known as CKD. According to the Cleveland Clinic, CKD is a progressive condition where kidney function declines over time, potentially leading to kidney failure. Management involves medications and, in advanced stages, dialysis or even transplant.
Yeah, kidney disease as an athlete is really hard to have because athletes require a lot of protein to support their bodies, but the kidneys are key into filtering this kind of nutrient. And when someone has kidney disease, they're actually put on low protein, or typically put on low protein
Really?
diets. Yeah, to help, because it helps to ease the symptoms and progression of the disease.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Lee also dealt with eczema since childhood, describing it as red, itchy, and always uncomfortable. This affected her confidence, specifically when competing. And Lee has worked with dermatologists to manage her condition, acknowledging that stress worsens her eczema, just to top it all off.
Again, speaking about her confidence as well when competing, she has been candid about her mental health challenges. She has experienced imposter syndrome and anxiety attacks, but has learned to cope with therapy, journaling, and positive self-talk. Again, her story says it all. She went from, unfortunately, being diagnosed with all these diseases to overcoming her personal challenges and being able to even place, which, again, that's amazing.
Yes.
If anything, it's just the dedication and sacrifices that these Olympians make is something that I think no one should be able to just underlook, because, again, we're watching this as our form of entertainment and get something out of it, while these people are striving and just doing whatever it takes to make a living out of it in hopes of just achieving their dreams and just stepping on the greatest stage of them all. The most important thing is that these people are able to find not find extreme dedication because they already have that, but make sure that their well-being overall is maintained well and so balanced, that they can keep going and balanced.
Yes.
Exactly. But with that being said, thank you for tuning into Med Talk, and our next episode will come when?
August 25th at 12 p.m. EST.
On Sunday, EST.
Yes.
But thank you so much, guys, for listening again. Stay healthy, and until next time, let's talk med.